The other day I was watching the Monday episode of First Things First. It's a sports show. Stick with me. So on there, they were talking about the game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. And they were giving their opinions about who won and whose fault it was and everything. So Chris Bouchard, he's a Christian man, a good Christian man. He comes out and he says something profound. He says Baltimore was shook by the confidence that the Kansas City Chiefs proclaimed. They walk with confidence. They fought with confidence. And they weren't afraid of Baltimore. They weren't going to get bullied. And Baltimore was shook. So much so, Baltimore forgot who they were. And they tried to imitate the one they were trying to defeat. I don't think you understand. He was talking about sports. And I know you're like, what does this have to do with being a Christian? There are times in life where the loss of a spouse, the loss of a job, sickness, disease, anything, a car accident, your house burning down, anything could happen. And you can become shook. You're startled. For a second, you can't get your bearings straight and you're trying to figure out which way to go. And some of us, me included, sometimes you get to a point to where you forget who you are. When something happens, you're like, no, she didn't talk to me that way. There's no way you're gonna talk to me like that without catching these hands. That's one of those things I'm not the only one. So sometimes you can forget who you are. And that's where the enemy has you. When you forget who you are, you forget that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Because then you start trying to change things about yourself to make yourself look like somebody else. Because everybody's impressed with this look. And this person has become an idol. And you're trying to change yourself to look like them. You forget that you can't be with somebody that's unequally yoked. In the name of love, I love this person. I don't care that they don't believe in the same God. Really? You're forgetting who you are. Because God tells you clearly you can't be with somebody that doesn't love and worship the same God as you. That's in the New Testament. What about the Old Testament? God tells the children of Israel not to mess around with these other places or other people because they're going to turn your heart away from me. That's what God tells them. It has nothing to do with somebody's ethnicity. Not one thing. It has everything to do with them turning you away from God himself. So interracial marriage isn't a sin. Okay, so there's so many things that can just have you shook. A car accident. Because after this car accident, you got to try to find a new car. There's so much stress behind it. You start to forget who you are. The stress and strain of trying to get back and forth to work. Losing a job. This is a third job in 6 months. And you're like, what good am I? Nobody wants me. Then you start to think that you can go and do other things that are ungodly. When your foot almost slips, remember who you are. Not only are you fearfully, wonderfully made, but you're a child of the King. I know there are people that will tell certain people that they're nothing. You're beneath me. You shouldn't even be in the same space as me. Really? We all have to see God for ourselves. If God created me, I'm made in the image of God, just like you are. You're no better than I am. When somebody thinks they're superior to you, whether it's in education, finances, or even skin tone, they're not better than you. You should be careful of who you speak down to. You don't know if that person's there to save your life. If the very thing that God has placed on the inside of this person that you're speaking down to can revolutionize the world. God has created you in his image. Your job doesn't make you. Oh no. Just because you make this amount of money doesn't make or break you. God's word makes you. So those of you all who have been through some things this week and you're trying to get your footing, just remember God sees and hears you. And he made you. Not only does he love you, but he'll protect you. I'm just saying, so no matter what the enemy comes up with, where it's an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, old job, you've made a mistake, and people are just tearing you down, just remember who made you. You've gone to God. See, the enemy is always trying to find a reason to go to God and say, this person doesn't belong to you. Look at what they've done. Look at how they've reacted. He wants anything to throw in God's face. Like, you save them? That person? He doesn't look like very much to me. But God says, that's my child. Oh my goodness. Even if you've made a mistake, you've gone to that person and apologized, and you've tried to do what's right. You've gone to God and said, Lord, forgive me. When God sees you, he sees you through the image of his son, through the blood of his son. So don't be shook, but stand firm on the word of the Lord. And never forget who you